Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone had a great Tuesday going on to Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, January 8th. Oh, January is flying fast. So, uh, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started. I know that we don't have a lot of people on this morning, but the show must go on. The early bird gets the worm, you could say. Um, we do have a lot to do today, especially for me. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the stage over to CJ so he can introduce himself, and then we'll go ahead and uh, have Miss Novelette introduce herself as well. Okay, so Mr. CJ, if you're available.
You can do the company profile if you want to,
Yes,
Oh,
Nick, we could just go right ahead with the
and then
intro.
I'll do what I have to do after.
And
okay,
right after that, Novlet will bless us with a presentation.
okay, all right, great, fantastic. All right, sounds like a plan. Give me 1 second, let me switch it over.
The company that has remained steadfast and kept the right principles. The company headed toward the world with the right principles. The company that grows with its customers and shares generously. We are Atomy. Atomy, which has been growing ever since its establishment in 2009, is a global multi-level marketing company with a presence across the globe, surpassing 2.2 trillion Korean won in global sales and with a global membership of 15 million. Atomy's #1 goal of going beyond customer satisfaction to customer success continues to be its top priority to this day. Providing good quality products at reasonable prices. Atomy's competitiveness lies in the nature of distribution. The absolute quality and absolute price product philosophy that Atomy has practiced since its inception is included in all of its products, such as health functional foods, beauty, living, food, fashion, home appliances, and more. Atomy Hemohim surpassed 2 trillion Korean won in cumulative sales, ranked #1 in domestic health functional food exports. With 19 international patents for a single product, it is forging a unique history in the realm of health functional foods. Absolute Skincare, which has become one of the best-selling cosmetics in the industry with sales of 100 billion Korean won every year since its launch. Absolute Skincare received the King Sejong Award from the Korean Intellectual Property Office in 2021 for the first time in the cosmetics industry, and was selected as world-class product for next generation selected by Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy in 2022. Atomy practices customer-centered management in all its business activities, and such efforts were recognized by the acquisition of Customer-Centered Management Certification for 3 consecutive years, which is a unique accomplishment in the industry. Starting with the U.S. branch in 2010, Atomy is a global company that opened 26 branches in Asia, South America, Oceania, Europe, etc., with 15 million members worldwide. In 2023, Atomy opened its EU branch and has plans for global expansion, with a focus on Africa, Latin America, and emerging markets. Atomy's GSGS strategy, which stands for Global Sourcing Global Sales, allows the supply of products that align with the absolute quality and absolute price philosophy through Atomy's global sales network. Atomy's success system, in which the company runs all seminars, allows any member to succeed regardless of individual ability. This is the driving force behind Atomy's distinctive growth. As the next generation broadcasting system bridging online and offline realms, the Success Seminar manifests Atomy's vision for members worldwide. It presents a vision of global success that transcends time and space by merging business and culture. The ACTS project has been initiated to cultivate global leaders and empower our active members around the world. Atomy is dedicated to providing full support for fostering global business activities. To achieve absolute quality and absolute price, and to ensure commitment to quality from its partners, Atomy provides various support measures for partnering companies such as cash payment within 1 week from delivery, interest-free operating fund loans, and joint quality management systems, among others. These create a culture of accompanied growth. Atomy strives to minimize its environmental impact across all business activities. Through policies like transitioning products to zero plastic and introducing eco-friendly smart packaging solutions, with the goal of becoming a global eco-friendly leader. Sharing is a mission that all companies must fulfill. As a result of its consistent annual giving for the last 3 years, Atomy has secured the #1 rank in the distribution industry for donations as a percentage of revenue among the top 500 companies in the country. As a result, it has earned various government awards and certifications, including the Government Award for Sustainable Management, Good Donor Award, Family Friendly Company, and Great Place to Work, Korea. Atomy's executives, employees, partnering companies, and members all practice sharing together to improve the lives of all members of society. Whenever sharing is needed around the world, global branches will be united to support happiness for all. The company that holds true to its principles while creating a new distribution culture. The company expanding globally with the trust of people around the world. The company that dreams of customer success while moving beyond customer satisfaction. The company that cherishes the spirit. We are proud Atomy.
Welcome, Mr. CJ. Are you speaking? CJ? I guess not. Okay, guys, good morning.
Good
Happy-
morning.
Oh, go ahead, Steve, go ahead. Oh, yes, good morning, Mr. Ken. Happy Wednesday. So we've come to halfway through the work week, as they would say. So thank you for you guys that are here. Now, there were about, what, 4 individuals on early. If you guys can come on early, because Nick plays some really good videos. Like for those who were on early, they got some good information on the living products. So, and that, you know, as you learn about the products, you can really educate your customers on them. I don't know if Nick is going to post that video in the group chat. That might be a good idea, Nick, for those that were late. But guys, if you can come on like a quarter to, that's when Nick starts playing those videos. Really good information, especially for those that are new and want to learn about the product. Because this business is product driven. It's all about your products. If you're not sharing you make the money from products. It's not like other companies like the M1 that you have to do order ship. You have to pay to get on board. You have to do order ship. Those companies that do order ship every month, that's how they're making their money. They're not necessarily making their money the way we do. It's from, they know they have thousands and thousands of customers doing order ship and paying for the membership. That's where the money comes. Atomy, on the other end, is strictly from product sales. That's it. We're not paying for the website. We're not doing an annual renewal for anything. There's no membership. There's no authorship or any of that. So this is strictly knowing your products and educating your customers on it. So, you know, like something that was mentioned in the video with the living products, most asthma attacks happen in the home with young kids. And if parents are really paying attention, they would say, wait a minute, this only happens in the home. Because a lot of the times I'll ask the parents, well, do they have an attack when they're out? No. But the minute they come home, that's when it happens. It's the chemicals that's in the home that's causing the attack. And typically when they change the products that they're using and hydrate, the issue goes away. So that's why they say our home is the most deadliest place, because most people don't open their windows. They run AC 24/7. Like when it's cool now in Florida or wherever, people still do not open their windows when it's nice out. So just be mindful of the products that you're using, because those are the products that's giving us a lot of health issues. And I'll always say this, that we have wonderful health products on the Atomy website that's not going to cause any of these problems, as the video that I played in that recording that Nick shared with the doctor talking about the health benefits of the products and how it's not going to compromise your lungs and all that. So Nick, that might be a good idea to post that video for those who want to go back and watch it. A lot of good information. Anyway, I had a conversation with Mr. CJ yesterday. I was on this podcast because I tend to listen to, podcasts that's about health, because I really like learning more about health so I can educate better. This one was on menopause. And guys, don't think that this is not for you, because every single male on here have a mom, sister, an auntie, a niece, daughters, whatever. And as she said, she got a lot of letters and emails from men. She said that was surprising, thanking her because they can better understand the woman in their lives, especially when it comes to menopause. Now, I'm going to play, this is a very long video, so I won't be able to get to everything on here, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to share the video for those of you who really want to learn, because you're going to have customers with these issues. I have a lot of women with menopausal issue. One particular young lady, she had started having ringing in the ears, which once you start having that ringing in your hair, it affects your balance to the point where she wasn't able to drive. She went to every doctor there was, and no one could diagnose her or help her. They didn't know what the problem was. And that's something she touched on in the video. They're not studying women's health. They're not doing that. And I told her, I said, that's a menopausal issue. And she's like, what? Nobody ever told me that. I said, ringing in the ear is a part of the menopausal, one of the side effects from that. I got her on the Sephora Queen. And eventually that ringing in the ears went away. She was able to get her balance back and started driving again. but not just a Sephora queen, because it's a hormonal imbalance. Once menopause happens, that affects the hormones. So she was also on Hemoheme and some of the other products. But that Sephora queen is for menopausal health. So CJ said, if I'm doing women's health, I have to do men's health at some point too. So anyway, so guys, pay attention. And I hope you guys are going to take note, because all of us as women, it might not affect you in a way where you might not have had any of those side effects. For me, the only thing I had was the hot flashes. And I knew why I had it, because mine started in the winter. And as much as I'm a water person, I educate people on water, that's the one time I slack off on my water. And the moment I stepped up my water again, it went away. So for those of us on here who might be having hot flashes, water regulates your body temperature. So when you start having hot flashes like that, it's because you're chronically dehydrated. And even for those in the summertime that you see heavy perspiration and they're sweating, and anyone you see that's always perspiring like that, that's a sign of chronic dehydration. So step up the water intake for those who are on menopause. But listen, I'm going to play maybe like 10 minutes of it. And hopefully you guys appreciate what you're hearing, because she's one of the only female person that's seriously doing research on menopause. And a lot of women are put on antidepressants, and there's a lot of women on antidepressants because of menopausal issue, because they're really not paying attention to it. And you guys here can help if you really take the time to listen to this video, and when these women come across your path, you know how to help them. So let me hit share.
Navlet,
Uh-huh.
so while you are at it and you mentioned hydration in this presentation, I have with us Ken this morning. And the other day, you and I were talking about his son, and the issue of hydration came up.
Right.
When you're done with the menopausal presentation, Ken is here, and I would love for you and for us to have a conversation about how hydration perhaps has been a challenge, or is causing, has led up to what has been happening with his son. And this whole thing about water in the morning. So if we could include that in the presentation, that would be great.
Funny enough that you mentioned that, because she also mentioned water in the presentation.
Yes.
She touched on water, but that's further down. So when she touched on water, I was very excited about that. And let me tell you guys what she said. She mentioned stop drinking purified water and those other type of water. She talked about that. And a lot of these issues are what's affecting us. And she did touch on my type of water. But anyway, guys, just listen to the whole thing, because there's so much packed in this video for us as women to learn about our health. Not only just about our health, but she talked about hysterectomy and how it affects us as women. If you had a hysterectomy in your 30s, because you're not going to hear that part, I won't be able to play it here because the video is so long. So for those who want to listen, but one of the things she mentioned is if you had a hysterectomy in your 30s or 40s or even 20s, did you know that it put you into menopause? I did not know that. And they're not telling women this, because I have one of my customers, I paused the video the moment I heard it, and I called her. I said, did they remove your ovaries? Because she said, you know, most hysterectomy, they remove the whole thing, the ovaries and everything. And she said, yes, they removed everything. So then I had to take the time to educate her on that she's now in menopause. And she was like, what? They're not educating women on these things because they take everything, because it's about money. instead of just removing what they need to remove or educating you that there are other things that you can do instead of having a hysterectomy. But once they do the whole package on you, you are now in menopause, fully blown menopause. And these women are having major health issues after hysterectomy, and no one is educating them on it. But anyway.
My ex-wife, she that. You're absolutely right.
I'm saying, say that, Mr. Ken.
I said my ex-wife, she went through that when she was about 40.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, hysterectomy and she went into full menopause.
Mhm.
And she's still having issues right now, still.
So guess what? This is a video for her. I'm gonna post it in the group. You know, people might say, hey, this is not about the Atomy products. We covered the Atomy products already. If you came early, this Zoom here is about educating you. Because if you are educated, you can help your customers better. Because I meet a lot of women with menopausal issues, and they're not getting help out there. So anyway, I'm gonna play, and then about 10 minutes in, I'll stop, and then you guys can get the video because it's over an hour long. But I listened to the whole thing yesterday.
And as soon as you're done, you'll have, besides Ken, there is Christina on the call. She has a question for you, so we don't want to bypass her when you're done with the video.
Okay. I tested earlier and it played with Miss Sylvia. She said she heard, so let's press play and hopefully everything works.
Brain symptoms not recognized.
Are you guys hearing?
In fact, we know that Black and Hispanic women may experience more severe
See, somebody,
and women
are you
who
hearing?
portrayed as mentally unstable.
Yeah, it's slow, but we're hearing.
Yes,
Okay.
we need to change that. But on top of doing the research, I am actively doing a number of lifestyle adjustments that are known to help us positive effect on menopause.
So let's have a look at these things then.
Okay, the first thing I do is
Dr. Lisa, one of the things I found fascinating is I read that there was a miracle food for delaying menopause.
a diet which is has been linked with a later onset of menopause,
By how much?
3 years.
We've just hit 6 million subscribers on the Diary of a CEO. So
Let
me
me
and my
skip
team would like
past
to do
this
something
and
we've
go
never done
straight to
before.
the video.
For
We
a
don't
few
have to.
conversations on this podcast with friends, with one of my friends to be on a call about menopause.
Yeah.
And it's really opened my eyes. Oh, you know her?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
And the volume be turned
yes.
Absolutely shining light in my life. I want to get into how you know this.
What did you say, Mr. CJ?
and
Okay.
the volume be turned up on the video.
Can everyone hear?
It's not
Guys?
clear. It's not really clear for us to understand what they're saying. And then it looked like it's playing a little fast too.
Okay. Let me slow it down. Playback speed. Okay.
And try to increase the volume.
Okay, let me turn up my volume and then let's see the volume here. All right, tell me if it's loud enough now.
And the work that you've done. But first I've got to ask, who are you?
How's that? Okay. Okay. And how's the playback speed? Better? Okay.
Yes, yes. Let it play now.
Thank you.
Now, guys, mute your phone out, please, everyone, so we don't hear anyone's noise. I want people to hear the video.
I'm Dr. Lisa Mosconi, and I have a PhD in neuroscience and nuclear medicine, which is a branch of radiology where we use brain imaging techniques to study the functionality of the brain, the biochemistry of the brain, and really deeply explore how the brain changes at different times in a person's life. And the reason I am here is that I am the director of the Women's Brain Initiative, the Wild Connect Medicine
We hear nothing right now. I don't know what happened. I don't hear. I don't know if it's only me, but we don't hear.
Yeah, no, I've let you paused it and you muted your line so we can't hear anything.
Sorry. Okay.
I heard you've published over 150 medical journals.
Yes.
Skip past this.
Yeah, over 100 Alzheimer's disease and dementia. And in 2015, we have
So what I skipped was she said there's a correlation between Alzheimer's disease, dementia, and menopause. So let's go.
ran out of ideas, especially when it comes to women's brain health, because what most people don't realize is that Alzheimer's disease affects more women than men. So almost 2/3 of all Alzheimer's patients are women, particularly postmenopausal women. And this was my question, even for my PhD, at the very beginning of my career. And back then, people would say to me, well, yes, we've known since 1994 that after aging and getting older itself, being a woman is the most significant risk factor for developing dementia. However, the explanation back then was that women live longer than men, and Alzheimer's is a disease of old age. Therefore, at the end of the day, more women than men have Alzheimer's disease. And that never made sense to me, in part because I have a family history of Alzheimer's disease that runs in my family, obviously, and affects the women in my family. And I know that this is very common where your grandmother has Alzheimer's or dementia. And for me, it was my grandmother and her two sisters who all developed Alzheimer's disease and died of it. But their brother, who lived exactly to the same age, did not. And so my PhD thesis actually was to show that Alzheimer's disease is not a disease of old age. It's actually a disease of midlife with symptoms that start in old age. So what happens is that Alzheimer's starts in the brain with negative changes that take years to reach a certain threshold before the damage is so severe that people start losing their memories, they can't come up with words, they have attention deficits. But in reality, Alzheimer's starts for many people in midlife. So that changed my entire question. But then the question becomes, okay, if Alzheimer's starts in midlife and more women than men end up with Alzheimer's disease, what happens to women and not men in midlife that could potentially explain the higher lifetime risk of Alzheimer's disease for women? And look, we tried everything. We tried genetics, we looked at medical factors, we looked at diabetes, we looked at high cholesterol levels, we looked at insulin resistance, we looked at obesity. We looked at every single thing we could look at: diet, lifestyle, exercise, and those things certainly matter. But they couldn't quite explain the difference that we were seeing, because what we were seeing is that already in midlife, women show these red flags of Alzheimer's disease in their brains, whereas men do not. And we can see that by doing brain scans and doing brain imaging. And the question was, well, what is it that really tips the scale? And then one day, my students were doing cognitive testing on one of our participants, a woman in her 40s. And she was having a really hard time just getting through the test. And she said, I'm really having a hard time. Can you open the window? And that doesn't happen very often. And my students are like, the window? true, or actually no, because it's a hospital in New York City. You can't open the windows, but we can play with the fan perhaps. And she just could not get through the test. And then she had to stop and say, look, I'm having hot flashes. I just can't think straight. I have to go. And so she rescheduled, and then she came back later, but my students came to me in a panic. She said she had hot flashes. What is it? Is she okay? Well, we had to stop the session. Are we in trouble? Basically, and the hot flashes. That's interesting. And so we went back and I explained to them that means that she's going through menopause. And this is a sign, a classic neurological sign of menopause that we do know can impact concentration and focus, but back then we didn't know that it could be a bigger change in your brain by impacting your ability to focus and memorize information. And so we went back and we asked all the women in our study about their menopausal status and their menstrual cycle and their symptoms. And then what we found is this, and if you compare a group of premenopausal women to men of the same age and look at their brain scans, there are no differences, or very little differences. But if you look at women who are perimenopausal and compare them to men of the same age, you see an increase in the amount of Alzheimer's plaques in the brain already in midlife.
In perimenopause.
In peri, so not even in menopause, but just starting to lose your skipping menstrual cycles, and when your period becomes infrequent, and usually the hot flashes start making an appearance and the brain fog as well. And then after menopause, when we compared postmenopausal women to men of the same age, then the difference was quite striking, where men barely had any Alzheimer's plaques, and the women had statistically significantly more red flags for Alzheimer's disease.
Okay, so this is a really naive question, but please do explain this to me like I'm a 10-year-old. What is menopause?
What is menopause? So there's a standard medical textbook definition that is entirely based on the function of the ovaries.
Okay.
And then there's an updated definition that I'm trying to promote more and more because I think it's important. It really looks at menopause for what it is from a scientific perspective. So I'm going to give you both. The standard definition of menopause is when a woman hasn't had a menstrual cycle for 12 consecutive months. There are 3 phases. There's the premenopausal phase, when the woman is in her 30s or older and has a regular menstrual cycle approximately every month. And then at some point, the frequency and severity can change.
So that's when your period becomes more infrequent,
irregular,
or there's less menstrual blood?
Yes, usually a combination of the two. And what we really focus on clinically is the frequency.
Okay.
So when you start skipping your period for more than 2 or 3 months at a time, that is considered the perimenopausal phase, which is the in-between between having a menstrual cycle and not having a menstrual cycle.
So that first stage we were talking about, is there a name that perimenopause? Premenopause.
Yes.
Okay, so premenopause.
Menopause. Then there's peri,
Yeah.
which is in between.
Is that stage 2?
That's, yeah.
Okay, stage 2. So
If you want stage 2, yes.
yeah.
Usually we say stage 1 and 2 for cancer or something malignant.
Oh, okay.
But yes, first and second
Okay.
stage. And then at some point, you will not have menstrual cycle anymore for up to 12 consecutive months. And then in retrospect, you go back to the year prior and say, okay, as of 12 months ago, that was your menopause. and you are now postmenopausal. In the postmenopausal stage, which is the third phase, if you will, lasts for the entire remaining of a woman's life. So most women today spend at least 30%, if not more, of their lives in the postmenopausal stage.
So you have this perimenopause stage, which happens in your mid to late 40s, typically?
Yes, usually around age 47. That's the average, but in reality, it can start when you're in your 30s or sometimes in your 50s. The average is 47.
And it tends to last about 10 years. And this is really when your estrogen levels start to dip.
That's a good point. So it can usually last between 2 and 10 years. If you're lucky, let's say between 4 and 7. Okay. This is actually when estrogen levels fluctuate.
Okay.
And that's what makes it tricky to diagnose based on blood tests. The blood tests are not that helpful in this respect because one day your estrogen is high and the next day your estrogen is low. And it does start gradually declining overall, but it doesn't really bottom out until you're past the transition and you are effectively in a postmenopausal stage. So yes, there is a continuous decline in concentration, but day by day, it's a little bit of a roller coaster, which is also why women start having symptoms of menopause, the brain symptoms of menopause, before the final menstrual period, not after. And that's a big misconception in medicine and science, that menopause is just one day on the calendar, a little bit like puberty, right? As a woman, once you have your first menstrual period, that's effectively your first. But in order for you to really have your last menstrual period, that's a process that can take years. And that is not captured in the definition of menopause. It's one day on the calendar when you stop having your cycle. And another misconception is that menopause happens when you're old. And it's really not the case. In the United States, but also in Europe, the average age is 51, 52. But if you look at the global female population, it's actually 49. And that is not old by any standards.
What's the youngest you've seen menopause, which is stage 2 in that process?
So it depends if we're looking at spontaneous menopause or induced. So women can go through menopause for a number of different reasons, which also, again, this is another misconception that menopause is the same for everyone. It's absolutely not true. But the three main reasons are aging, just the neuroendocrine aging process that I like to refer to as spontaneous menopause. Some people say natural, but that to me is misleading because it makes it sound like the other types are unnatural, which is really the last thing anybody needs. Right? It's hard enough to go through menopause because of medical reasons rather than it's part of the aging process. And so the other two types are induced menopause, which can be surgically induced or medically induced. Surgically induced is when you have your ovaries removed. Usually it's part of a hysterectomy, which is the surgical removal of the uterus, or just the ovaries alone. And that's called an oophorectomy, the surgical removal of the ovaries. Before going through menopause. But menopause can also occur for as a result of medical treatment like chemotherapy for cancer. That can induce menopause, sometimes just temporarily and sometimes more often than not permanently. So the youngest age is actually puberty because there are transgender individuals who have their ovaries removed as part of their transition to a different gender. So in that case, if you have the surgery, the oophorectomy and hysterectomy when you are a teenager, that's when you go through menopause.
A spontaneous menopause, what's the earliest you've seen or heard of?
40s, early 40s.
Right.
But some women with PCOS or primary ovarian insufficiency can develop menopause.
Okay, guys, what time is it? 10:40. I will stop there for now because as you see, it's a long video. And I will post it, but she touches on so many different topics, which us as women, we would never think about. So I hope even the men will listen, because I'm sure there are women in your life that's going through this, and there's so many factors with menopause that we don't think about. And you'll see the people change. They talk about women how they change after they get to a certain age, and it's a joke, but it's really a health issue. And the reason why I play this video also, as she talks about the estrogen and all that, she talks about the fact they give shots, because of course she's in the medical world, but we have the supplements here that can help. We have Hemoheme, we have the Sephora Queen, we have, I think she mentioned vitamin C, she mentioned the B complexes, and she mentioned something about the B complexes. You guys hear me talk about that B complex all the time. She said they break up the complex and they'll be giving B12 shots or this or whatever, but you really need the complete, which is what we have, the whole spectrum of the B, the complex. Women need that, men need it too, but we need it because of all these things that happens to our bodies. And one of the things she said that really got me as I was listening to her, she is preparing, she's doing the preparation from now before she gets there, so she will not have any of those onsets that comes with menopause, which is what I've always done my whole entire life. So for me, it hasn't really affected me. Like, I've met women my age and younger that's really suffering, because I'm going to be 60 in 2 years. And I never had any of these things, as I mentioned, except for the hot flashes. And I knew right away that I was chronically dehydrated. But she is preparing herself. She talks about the whole lifestyle change. She talks about exercising, going outside, getting sunshine, your diet, the whole spectrum of health. So for us, for the ladies on here who are younger, preparation, because this is also something that she said that really got my attention. She said Blacks and Hispanic suffer the worst. And the reason why Blacks and Hispanics suffer the worst is because we do not manage our health properly. That's the reason why during COVID, Blacks and Hispanics were also the ones that were affected the most. It's a health management issue that is going on with us in the Black community and in the Spanish community. So we have to start taking care of our health, because we're the ones affected the most by everything that happens. Cancer, diabetes, all these health issues, Blacks and Hispanics the most. Menopause, Black and Hispanic the most. We have to start taking charge of our health. We have to start eating out at McDonald's and all these places. These places affect our health. I asked them at one of these fast food places because I was on the road and I didn't pack my food with me, and I had 2 more hours to go and I couldn't wait. And I went into Wendy's and I asked them, when was the last time you guys changed that oil that you're frying the fries in? The young lady said, well, I'm new. I started 2 weeks ago and it has never been changed. So we have to be mindful of what we're eating. We've come so far from cooking at home and relying on eating out so much. That's also detrimental. So I'm going to post the video, and I hope you guys really take the time to get the information that she's sharing.
Also, Novlet, someone asked a question about her daughter's period or something. If you check out the question.
Oh, let me stop sharing and go look. Good morning. I want to answer question about my 12-year-old daughter. On December 7th, her period came. Okay, so for that young lady, see that question I can answer because I had that issue. I had heavy clotting, and I prayed that my daughter would not have the same issue, and she came and she had the same problem. So one of the things, the first culprit is the sanitary napkin. I don't know what napkin she's using. Is your daughter using the Atomy sanitary napkin?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We use the regular pad.
Okay, so let me give you a little education on the regular pad. The
Okay.
regular sanitary napkins are made from recycled newspaper. So what they do is they collect the recycled newspaper, they put them in a big container and they pour a ton of bleach on it. And they bleach the newspaper out until it's pearly white. And that's what you have as a sanitary napkin. Now, as us ladies use the sanitary napkin, it gets wet from the blood flow coming down.
Mm-hmm.
The toxicity from these napkins are now being released up into us. This is what's in the fibroids, ovarian cancer, all these health issues that women are having comes from the sanitary napkin. Now, for me, I suffered through it. My daughter, on the other hand, had the luxury of having the Atomy sanitary napkin. She suffered before with the chronic cramping and everything that came with it. Her first 2 days of school, she would miss. The teachers got used to that because the pain was so bad and the clotting was so excessive. She also had to wear the overnight liners during the day. Now, when she got on the Atomy sanitary napkin, she was using overnight during the day. It reduced that excessive heavy flow where she's having her period 7, 8, 9 days down to like 3 days.
But I was back for 5 days. Although this was the second time I see. I have 2 daughters. One is 16 and the 12 years old. She's one that just had this issue. And in December, the first one came on the 7th. And I was surprised on the 22nd of December again, it came out again and it lasted for 5 days. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what was happening to my daughter because there was a hormonal imbalance. They wanted to put her on birth control. And I said to the doctor, over my dead body, that's not happening. So I didn't know, I didn't have Atomy at the time. So I went and did my research. And this is where hemoheme comes in. One of the Dunqua is one of the ingredients in hemoheme. I think the Dunqua is the what are the 3 plants again in the hemoheme?
Like a peanut? Because the name sounded like because I'm from Nigeria and I've had that name Dankwa before. It's something that we used to eat back home. They make it like peanut butter, but
no. Dunqua, no. Dunqua is an Asian. It's one of the 3 main ingredients in hemoheme. I can't remember which one it is. We know it as Dunqua, but Nick, do you remember the 3 major plants in the hemoheme, or Mr. CJ? Who remembers? Do you think? Oh, hold on. Let me go to it here.
I can't pronounce the name.
I think I have it here. Oh, I have so much here on my phone. But one of the ingredients.
Angelica Gigas.
Gingas, yeah.
No,
Extra.
not the Angel. Okay, let me Google it. Donqua. What are the names of Donqua?
Japonica extract.
One of those plants is also known as Donqua,
Right.
which normalize your it balances out your hormonal imbalance. So
Okay.
I was given Donqua. I was ordering Donqua from Amazon and giving it to her, and it balanced out her hormonal imbalance. So her period became regular, but she still had the clotting because she was using those toxic sanitary napkins. But once she got on the sanitary napkins, the clotting went away.
Okay.
And then when I saw
Hemoheme.
when I saw Hemoheme and I did my research on it, I realized Donqua is one of the ingredients in Hemoheme. So for her, she has been using the Hemoheme and the sanitary napkin that Nick is showing here.
Okay.
And she's not had any issues at all. No cramping. I mean, her period comes now. I don't even know she's having it unless she mentions it to me. And the hormonal imbalance is, everything is normalized now. So for everyone that I meet that have that issue, I put them on Hemoheme and the sanitary napkins. I have a few moms that has their daughters on it, and everything went away, including that excessive clotting.
Okay.
Nick, could you show the yeah,
Can I ask you,
right
does it look like a pad too?
Go up a little bit more, Nick, slowly. Yeah, so these are the 4 ingredients that's in the sanitary napkin.
Okay.
Right. And one thing I would tell you to just let your daughter know, she's gonna feel a little cooling, tingling sensation at first when she uses it, but there's no odor. You'll have it on all day, and there's no odor, which is perfect.
Okay.
Try the sanitary napkins along with the Hemoheme.
Yeah.
It's gonna balance out her hormones, so she's not having her cycle twice a month.
Yeah. To let you know, we carry both medium size and large. The one I'm showing you right now is the large. So
And yeah, and we also have the liners.
And liners.
Okay. So this is the Atomy app day. That's the name.
Yeah, the
Herb Day.
Okay.
Okay. So back to the menopause issue now. Did anyone?
If I want to give her the Hemoheme, does she have to be taking like 2 as well, 1 a day, 1 in the night?
She's 12?
Yes, ma'am. She's gonna be 13 in February 4.
She can have 2 if you want. You can give her 1 or you can give her 2.
Okay.
My
Okay.
niece takes 2 a day.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Now,
So yeah, go ahead, Mr. CJ.
yeah, I found it very interesting when I learned recently that the Asian women from that culture, they don't know what menopause is.
Yeah.
And then I realized that it's about their diet. So perhaps
Asians eat a lot of tofu. Now I know people are going to say tofu. Their tofu and what we get here is different. Because when I lived in Georgia, I used to go to the Super H Mart. And when you look in their shopping cart, it's loaded with tofu. And that book I was reading years back, because back then I was in my
Hi, my name is Nicholas Parson. I'm trying to get through to Keith Parson.
Nick, mute your phone.
This is his son. His son. Can you get him a message to call home when he gets a chance?
You need to mute Nick.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes. So I was reading the book back then in my early 30s. And I was shocked when I saw that. And they contributed to the fact that they eat a lot of tofu. But we're told here in America that it's not good for us, which is true. What we get here in America, it's the process that it goes through why it is not healthy here. Now, when I lived in Georgia, I used to shop at the Asian grocery store because their food style is very much like us from the Caribbean. They have the same fruits and veggies, and also incorporated with all the Asian stuff that's in that store. So I'm very excited to say we're about to get a H Mart right here by me. I can't wait for it to open. But their diet is one of the big components. And we know that the diet here in America and diet that they get over there in Asia, in Korea, Japan, those people are known for the number one with health. And other countries compared to here, we are sicker than most of the world because we're at the bottom of the poll when they grade the countries on health. America's at the bottom. So it's the diet here that's causing these issues.
They don't even struggle with obesity.
No,
That's not
they
an
don't.
issue.
And the food here, a lot of the food here is banned in other countries across the world.
Yeah, most of our food is banned. We can't ship them out. So we have to understand that if we're not supplementing, and I'm not talking about the supplement you buy at Walmart or CVS or what's that other store? That health food store, because they were on the New York Surgeon General list of non-healthy supplements.
The vitamin store?
Yes. Yes. You have to put good supplement in your body or else you're going to be in trouble. Now, if you're growing your food and you're making sure you have good soil, you're putting the nutrients in your soil, you're making sure every year before you plant, you took care of your soil, you're getting good stuff. But if you're buying something at the store, there's no guarantee because most of those fruits and veggies died 2, 3, 4 years ago that you're getting in the store now. And I was watching a video of they put them in this liquid. All your fruits, your apples and your bananas and all of that goes in this big container with, I don't know what's in the liquid to preserve it and keep them. So by the time you get, they put the stuff on the banana to slow down the ripening process so they can ship it. The fruit, the apples and all of that stuff, some of those stuff they say was picked 3, 4 years ago. So we have to supplement if we want to stay healthy. So I know Mr. Ken, he already understands this story here that I shared this morning because his ex-wife is still going through it, as he said. I don't know if there's anyone on here that knows people that's going through it, but this is a serious issue when you really listen to what she's talking about on here. Because is anyone on here aware that menopause
share something with you. I
Go
want to
ahead.
share something.
Mhm.
I had a hysterectomy when I was in my 40s, and it was a total one. I didn't realize that your body still produces estrogen after hysterectomy. I had no
Mhm.
idea. And too much estrogen in the body can cause
Mhm.
cancer.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I found that out pretty late.
Because they don't educate you on all the side effects.
They
They do
don't.
not. She covers a lot, ladies. So please listen.
so Audrey, if I may, not to put you on the spot, but so how did you overcome that kind of challenge? Having become aware, when you became aware of this situation,
Oh,
was
well,
what
well,
diet change,
well, no,
supplementation?
well, when I went to the doctor and he told me my diagnosis, he said, it's because my body has too much estrogen. Too much estrogen in my body. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
what was it? What
So-
were
so
the
it's-
effects of all that estrogen? What were you experiencing?
I used to have vertigo.
Mm-hmm.
I started taking the Him, and the Him helped me with that. I haven't had any attacks recently.
Okay.
And they have me on anti-estrogen pills
Mm-hmm.
to slow down the estrogen that's my body's making. Because
Mm-hmm.
I told my doctor, I said I thought after a total hysterectomy you wouldn't have any more estrogen in your body. Because I wasn't even taking hormone replacement. I wasn't even on that. So I don't know how my body produced so much estrogen. I couldn't understand, and he still can't explain to me why my body was producing so much estrogen and I wasn't on hormone replacement pills.
See, that's the problem. I tell people all the time, when they tell you to remove a body part, unless you are dying, don't do it. Go find an alternative, because every single organ serves a purpose in the body. And once you remove that organ, you are going to have health issues. They're telling people, oh, remove your appendix. It doesn't serve a purpose. But that's a lie. Your appendix is a part of your immune system. Your lymph node is a part of your immune system. So they tell you, oh, it's not necessary. But everything there works together. So once we remove one thing, you start having health issues. And then women are having all these catastrophic health issues and they can't figure out why. Because they took out body parts. And they're telling women, oh, you have breast cancer, remove your breast. You have this, remove that. Removing your breast because you have a lump in your breast is not going to stop you from getting cancer, because you have the cancer cells in your body just floating around. They just found that one lump in your breast, but it's still in the body, and they're not going to the root cause of the issue. They just remove the body parts because you make money from that, but they're not really addressing the problem. And then these women remove their breasts, and then the cancer pops up someplace else. Guys, you have to use wisdom. Body parts is the biggest thing in the medical field. They make a whole lot of money removing body parts, but it's not addressing your health issues. And you end up with
Yeah, guess what?
What?
We're gone over time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna share this video, guys. Watch the video.
Yes.
It's
I
packed
just
full
want
of
to say,
information.
now that, the other day you mentioned this, we are on the subject of hydration. I really want to recommend to everyone to get that book. You Are Not Sick, You're
You're
Thirsty. I've been reading it and it's really such an eye opener. So we got to wrap up. We got to go. But hydration, and by the way, you can't be doing your hemohim, your phycelium husk. A lot of these products out of in the Atomy Mall. You got to be drinking your water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. So Novlet, we're gonna have to go, but I want to thank you, Novlet, for what you do. That was awesome. What can I say? We can't do without you. Mr. Nick, thank you for allowing us your platform. I want to thank everyone. I see some new names on the platform this morning. I want to thank you for coming. I want to remind everyone that this is something that we do from Mondays right through to Fridays. We do all the heavy lifting here. It's about the products, the products, the products. We talk about the business, absolute products, absolute price. I want to thank you for coming. We'll be here tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. We do pre-game, 9:45.
Guess
Nuggets.
what? Those that didn't make it this morning, Nick played a really good video, packed full of information. If you can come on early at 1:45, come on.
That's right.
All righty. So
Can I say something before you turn
go
off?
ahead. Go ahead, Miss CEO. I like that.
CEO Root. Love that.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you for all the information. Yes, you said the pregame is 9:45. It seems like you go early than that. So please do it if it's 9:30 or before that. So you said
Yeah.
9:45. When I get an 9:45, it's already started.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh no, I lose some.
No,
Okay.
time I started, I get on earlier. So if you can get on earlier, he just put 9:45, but I tried to open it by no later than
9:40.
9:35, 9:40 as the earliest
Yeah.
I'll open it.
Yes, we'll be here and we'll always have something special. A lot of goodies, great stuff. And if you can, we invite you to come by early before for to catch
I'll
the
try.
game. Yeah.
So, yeah, when I get at 9:45, I'm like, oh, it's already started. So they said 9:45. I tried 9:45, but still
Yeah,
ready.
we'll be here. We'll be here.
Okay, so I'll try to get on early though. Early
Okay.
at 9:45. So I'll try that.
All right.
Okay.
No problem. You can get on
Thank you,
earlier.
Thank you, Novlet.
Okay, so guys, I'm gonna post the video, watch it, and then if you guys want to talk about it tomorrow, that's great, because this is a serious topic here.
Mhm.
Women's
And
health.
now
We'll do the men's health another time.
that's Thursdays. Wednesday we do women's health, and Thursdays men's health. We have
Okay.
dedicated those 2 mornings for the ladies and for the gentlemen. One more thing, guys, I really must stress, you don't have to do the talking. Novlet and all these wonderful Atomians here on the call, we do the talking. We do the heavy lifting. Just bring your friends and bring your guests and bring your customers to the experience, and we'll take it from there. All the questions, the conversation, the testimonials, that does it. So bring your friends, bring your loved ones. This is family time. This is where we engage, we interact, we answer all the questions. No problem. That's all
Okay.
for me.
Can I call you after the call, Novlet, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have my number?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, guys.
Sure.
Mr. Nick.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Ken, the video will be there if you want to share it with your ex.
I definitely will.
And by the way, Ken, I think why Novlet wanted to engage with you this morning is as far as your son Kenny is concerned, I believe what she's trying to get you to understand that this hydration thing, it feeds into his wellness. So it could be that in those when he was younger, we and you mentioned that the seizures would come in the morning, and that's because during the night the body goes through a dehydration process. So the first thing we do, and this is not only for Kenny, your son, but it's for all of us. The first thing we do is we begin the hydration process. That's a key.
Because his veins used to stick up like it's popping out too. Yeah.
Hey Ken, question for you though.
Uh-huh.
Did after your son had the seizures, did he get like a headache afterwards?
Yes, he would have the headache, he'd get disoriented.
Yep. Dehydration.
Yeah, because that's what I suffer with the same thing when I was younger.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's why I was asking. Yeah, because I would just start shaking.
Yes.
And I would start foaming at the mouth.
Yes, he would shake. Yeah.
Yeah. I start shaking and and foaming at the mouth. Okay.
Wow.
Mr. Ken, you have my number?
No, I could get it from
Mr. CJ.
Yeah.
Okay, call me.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Okay,
We're gonna go ahead
guys.
and wrap, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at the same time, 10 at 9:30, 9:40 for the latest, for early for game, for pregame, and at 10 o'clock.
And may I say,
Aja.
Hold on, Mr. CJ. Mr. Ken was saying something.
may I say, I'm loving the direction of this momentum mornings. I'm loving it. Education. They love that we're showing each other. I really appreciate it, and the knowledge and the knowledge and the knowledge. Thank you guys so much for letting me be a part of the family.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Kenny.
CJ?
You're welcome. Yeah.
Oh,
CJ, just one moment, please. I just have to thank you guys. I really appreciate. And as Nablet said, we have to focus on the product. The product is really what's going to sell the company. And we
That's
must know the product in order to sell the products. And as you were saying, I don't know who brought it up about their son, but my grandson just died also for dehydration. They tried to fix it and couldn't fix it. He lost his limbs. He couldn't walk. He couldn't stand. So water is very important, guys, in our body. We must drink water, not overdrink because you can overdrink too, but we must put enough water in the body.
Thank
So
you,
that's all I
Ode.
have to say. Mhm.
You don't know, you just don't even know what you're saying right now. Navlet, did you hear that?
I mentioned before that I wanted to host a Zoom on water. Now, for those of you guys who are interested, let Mr. CJ know. It will not be on while we're doing the Atomy Zoom. It will be a totally different Zoom. I know what Miss Odie's talking about. I know what Ken's talking about, because what brought me into this field of health is because my daughter started having massive seizures. She
Mhm.
10, 12 a day. And this went on for a year and a half with no help medically. Having seizures every day to the point, we lived in Georgia at the time, the school board was sending teachers to the house and I had to cancel. Over a period of time, they stopped because the seizures were so bad and they would just come on at any time.
Oh
And
my God.
they don't pay attention to you. These doctors don't listen to you as a parent. When you are telling them what's going on and they tell you it's in your head, because they've done every test and they're not seeing anything. Her when she did the EEG, it was normal. Even in the office with the neurologist, 3 times I told her, step back, she's about to have one, and she told me it's not possible. I could know when I lived with it. You know what she told me after my daughter had those 3 attacks and they hooked her up to the EEG and her brain waves were normal? She said, I had it in my file that it was in your head, because they never saw any signs of her having any seizures. So water is what saved my child. Water is what brought my daughter back. 1 month drinking that water.
Water is what got me off my couch and had me running, jumping, skipping, because I was just there. Why is my knee so stiff? Went to the emergency room. They are getting ready to inject me in my knee. I said, no, it's not gonna happen. And I went into a deep dive into what causes these pains, these joint pains, etc., only to discover the one missing ingredient, water. And I brought myself back to life. I want to say to everyone on the call, if you can't go out and get a book, go on YouTube. Perhaps there's an audiobook. It's called You're Not Sick, You're Thirsty. Get that book, everyone. Get it. It's a good book. You are not sick, you're thirsty. And thanks for pointing that out to us, Navlet. Thanks to you. It makes good reading. Dr.
Odie,
Batman.
yeah.
Yes.
I am so sorry. You said your nephew died?
No, my grandson.
Oh, I'm so sorry. From
Mhm.
dehydration. See,
From
guys,
dehydration. That's what they found, that it was from dehydration. But it was his limbs, he started falling. And we were like, why are you falling? You know? The doctors couldn't tell us nothing.
that's
And
the
here the child here was dehydrated.
guys,
But it was the last minute when they caught it, you know?
this is a serious topic. So I really want to do
Our
a
condolence,
Zoom on that. So if you guys are interested, let Mr. CJ know. And I will host one at a different time. And we go from there. But Mr. Ken, I want to speak with you.
Okay, all right.
All right, Guy, I'm so sorry. My condolences, Odie. I'm so sorry.
Our condolence,
Condolences to you.
All right, guys.
all right. Well, we say, Aja, and
Aja.
Aja. Good job, guys. Good God. Good job. Excellent.
Okay, thanks.